In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
I think there should be an awareness generally as far as this issue is concerned, because it's becoming very violent and it's becoming deadly. Deadly in the sense that many people are dying under the same issue, psychologically, emotionally, even physically. As a woman, we need to arise for each other, because yes, one person is a victim, another will be a victim tomorrow. It is a continuous thing. Some years back, it was not as bad as this, but now it has become a thing of daily occurrence in families, in the society, in the environment.
Supporting a survivor actually means a lot to me, but to be basic, it means helping people out from their pain, like helping them to voice out from what they are going through. So when you support them, when you give them that full support, I think it makes them have courage to do the basic things in life.
I'll say that it means trying to help them believe again, trying to help them have a meaningful life even after the experience they might have. And as a community, I believe that a community should be a safe place for everyone. In a situation whereby somebody has had a terrible experience based on the agenda, you know, the community should be able to rally around to support the person in the best way they can. So I feel everything we can to get them back on track is what we should do.
Hello and welcome to a special town hall edition of A Place at the Table with New Central Television, being broadcast live and streaming across all our social media platforms. From victim to survivor, there are no passive observers at this event. We all have a place at the table, and we get to lend our voice to change, to be the change that we want to see. My name is Benga Aboroa.
And I'm Judith TV. And as Benga has rightfully put, this town hall series will be highlighting stories of survivors, but also putting on the platform what gender-based violence is. We have a lineup, a packed lineup just for you to kickstart this event, this town hall series. We'll be focusing on victims, the realities on ground, and our panelists will be introduced shortly, and they will be persons who are on the front line, and we would also say that would open the platform to you to join the conversation. You can also tweet on our social media platforms, so you can join the conversation and keep it going right here at the town hall. Without further ado, we have delayed this town hall enough, and we'll get started with our first panel discussion today. Please let's welcome those who will be joining us up on the stage, starting with Olabisi Ajayi Kayode. She's the CEO of CC Yara. She joins us on the stage.
We also have Antonia Ojenagbon, a.k.a. the Golden Girl. She's Nigeria's survivors advocate, the Nigerian survivors advocate. You can see why she's referred to as the Golden Girl.
Bridget Tara Motimi, she's the head of General Services at WARIF, one of the non-profit organizations who are doing their best to tackle victims, survivors, and also to platform their stories and give them a lifeline. Again, you're welcome to the stage, Ms.
We also have the center manager for the Mirabel Center, Joy Honoriose. Please put our hands together for her. Thank you.
And to share this segment, which is the stories on victims and what the realities are, as well as the statistics as it regards victims of gender-based violence, please put your hands together as I welcome Dorothy Njemanze. She's an actress, an activist, and the founder of the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation, and she's also made an appearance on A Place at the Table. She will be chairing this discussion. A round of applause, please, for all the ladies on stage.
Now, over to you, Dorothy, and happy deliberations.
All right. Thank you very much to everybody who is here today, because I think we're here today because we count ourselves as human beings. And when people talk about sexual or gender-based violence, many times people think it is a women's thing. But I think today will give us an opportunity to remember that it's a human being's thing. Victims can be females, could be males, even those in between. I'm talking about the intersex now. Perpetrators could be males, females, and those in between also. And maybe to start it, I should, let me take the lead. I'm a survivor of sexual and gender-based violence. And I will still say that I'm a victim of sexual and gender-based violence. And so what would the difference be? A victim is somebody who's been exposed to trauma. And when you start getting the kind of support that puts you on the pathway to healing, then you become a survivor. You transit to being a survivor. Can somebody move from being a survivor to victims? Yes, trigger. Different things could trigger, a relapse. But at the end of the day, there are support systems that are supposed to guide us. So whether it is child sexual abuse that I have survived, I've also, rape. I've been trafficked. I've been raped so many times as a child, as an adult. There's intimate partner violence. I have a broken tooth. There's a lot of things. But at the core of it, I'm a human being, and that's why till the day I die, I will continue supporting people who are survivors of sexual and gender-based violence to get the support that they need. And then the issues keep coming up, issues around safeguarding, whether we're safeguarding in the public malls that we go to, in the churches, the mosques, the schools. To what extent are these things taken seriously? When crimes are reported, to what extent do schools feel the need to to escalate them? Only yesterday, I found myself consoling the mother of a child who is not up to 2 years old. She's just started schooling on Wednesday last week, and by Friday, her less than 2-year-old was raped. And she's in a situation now where she says the police is forcing settlements. So the forced financial settlements are still a thing. And from my point of view, if I tell you that I'm hurt, and this is what I want as justice, and you're telling me, well, you're a woman, you're not hurt enough, you should just be able to manage this and move on, it means you're forcing settlement. It means you're making me deny my reality amongst this. And these are the things that happen in the policing system. So we do a lot to try and amplify the perspectives, the voices of survivors as individuals. And one thing, the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation, which is a survivor-run organization, by the way, because over 80% of the board members, the executive and the staff are survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. So one thing we pride ourselves with doing is giving agency to the voices to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And we are not shy to link our lived realities to policy and to leadership. And so if these things are not there, and people are trying to tell our stories for us and edit our realities to suit their egos, we will continuously resist it and keep amplifying it. Last week, I think it was last week, I was hospitalized. But shortly before I was hospitalized, there was a 12-year-old who is 3 months pregnant. And she's thankful to her perpetrator because the perpetrator feeds her because her parents cannot afford to feed her. And the parents have decided, well, the best way to settle this thing is to give honor to her. And the honor move they've decided to apply is to collect dowry, to give legitimacy to the child.
Okay, so the Wari Rape Crisis Center, which is situated in Lagos, give access to survivors to free medical and psychosocial care. Because we know that a lot of survivors can't afford this. The facility where they can really reach out to help is not available. So for us as an organization, we are focused on intervening in that harm, ensuring that survivors have access, and they are attended to. We give hope to each survivor that walked through our gate. We are seeing 7,500 women and girls come through our gate and leave that facility with hope, with a new identification, with a new dream that I am better than yesterday, that whatever happened was not my fault. That dream that I can go anywhere and I'm not afraid looking behind me. That's what we do, creating safe spaces for women and girls. Beyond the intervention, we also know that the narrative around social norms needs to change. So we look at it from the preventive arm. We go to secondary schools. We have trainings for young girls, the Warif Educational School Program for adolescent in-school girls. And what do we do with them? We have a module, a curriculum where we first make them understand who they are, my body and I, make them understand what appropriate relationship looks like, make them understand how they can unmask the abuser. The highest number of survivors that have come into our facility that have been able to access care, they are minors. The youngest we have seen is 7 months old. The oldest is around her 70s. Oftentimes people say it's the way the girl is dressed, but that baby is just 7 months old. She was on diaper. Did she provoke the man to rape her? No. So oftentimes I tell people, don't give excuses for rape. It's not a normal behavior. Now, for the girl to move from being a victim to a survivor, she has to get to that point where she believes in herself, where she knows that it's not her fault, where she knows that her story has been heard, where she understands that she has a voice.
The Tonya Bruised But Not Broken Foundation started as a result of my own personal experience, an experience that lasted for a long time. That at some point I was admitted in the psychiatric hospital. It was after I got therapy. I realized that, there were several adults like me who have gone through childhood sexual abuse. They haven't healed, and the effects are affecting us in our adult life. So immediately I started a support group for adult survivors. So as the support group meeting, videos, pictures not allowed. It's a safe space where you come, tell your stories, and we also bring in therapists, counselors, psychologists, and psychiatrists who come to talk to the survivors, letting them know that there is hope after you've been through sexual violence and all of that. But in the course of organizing this support group meeting, I found out that a one-off meeting is not enough to help survivors to heal. So one of the things I did was to go get training to become a licensed therapist. And another thing I found out was the fact that when the survivors go to places like the police station to report, they are re-victimized by the police officers. So I decided to be a survivors advocate, in the sense that we follow the survivors to the police station to give them that moral support. So when we get to the police station, the police actually treat the survivors better when they see that an NGO person is there with the survivor. Then we follow them to the Sexual Assault Referral Center. Incidentally, the Sexual Assault Referral Center, we partner with the Mirabel Center, is here. So we go, a lot of the times we call them. I recall calling the center manager, Joy, a few weeks ago on a Friday, I think late in the night, to say that I want to bring a survivor on a Saturday because I was called very late. And I was shocked when she responded that night to say, you can bring her Saturday morning. And I got to the center to find out that the doctor, everybody was there waiting for me. I was really, really impressed, and the mother of the child was happy. Another thing we do is we follow the survivor to court. Every time the case comes up in court, we have to be in court also to give them moral support. We've been attacked in courts. Sometimes when the perpetrators, especially if it's a clergyman, when they are, the members of their church, they come, they attack you inside, physical attack inside the court. One of the days we were attacked, one of the people who had to get us security is also here. So we began to go to court with bouncers. It's that bad. So we let the survivors know that what has happened to you is not your fault. We're here to provide you not just psychosocial support, but physical support. You know that, okay, you're one stop away from calling us to get the kind of support that you will need to heal again. When mine happened to me, I didn't have anybody to run to, so I have decided to make myself available for any survivor who wants that help that we're offering. So right now, apart from providing, we do therapy for free. So yes, therapy session is free. You don't pay for anything, because I understand the fact that therapy is very expensive in this part of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So by attaching an advocate to survivors, victims and survivors, how much backlash have you gotten? Physically, have you needed to save yourself?
I remember when we were doing Bishop Faye Daniel's case, and the case came up around 3 on a particular day, and by 6 p.m. we were still in court, and we're the only ones in court. As we got into the car to leave the High Court, I just noticed that a car was following us. Before then, immediately I stepped out of court, something just said, go and change. I went to change of clothes that day, so I had to tie my hair, because I know once you see this hair, you know that this is Tonya.
They need troublemaker.
They started tracing us. I had to send my location to a few people. We went into Dutchess Hospital in Ikeja, waited there till past 10, I won't lie to you, past 10 in the night. So we had to stay there until I was sure that the coast was clear. We had to change the car that we used to leave.
Checheyara, please tell us a bit about what you do.
The word Checheyara means save the child. Checheyara started as a call center. Because cases of SGBV, the foundation is case reporting. If you don't know, like Tonya said, the cases get nowhere. So we are able to establish the very first children's telecommunications platform. We operate a one-stop response. Because oftentimes victims get worn out when they have to juggle between SGB referrals, from the doctor to the law enforcement. So that's why we operate a multidisciplinary team approach with all professionals on site. Our Checheyara Child Helpline 0800 800 801 operates 24/7 in a culturally competent manner, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. And right now we are nursing for a short code because of children trying to escape abusive relationships. And because, especially in the north, when a child will call you, a 14-year-old is about to be given to a 75-year-old in marriage. And because child sexual abuse is a most heinous crime, having been defined by the UN as a public health and human rights crisis, we produce free legal, medical, psychosocial, forensic interview, specialized shelter services, and awareness prevention programs. Because one thing about SGBV is that the burden of proof is on the victim, and you need airtight evidence. We follow we call them clients because we don't want to say you're a victim. And like what Dorothy was trying to say, a victim is someone who did not receive professional service intervention. A survivor is one that received. From case reporting, we act as guardian ad litem and support persons. I know a lot of police, law enforcement officers can be manipulative, especially outside Lagos State. So from case reporting, we sit with them. I remember a particular case during the COVID era. The girl called us. She said, I think my child is missing. She got pregnant as a teenager, and the so-called destiny helper told her 2 weeks to delivery, you have to go and deliver in the eastern part of Nigeria. She gave birth to the boy. They showed her the boy. Said, let me breastfeed. She said, no. They gave her an injection. She slept off. When she woke up, they told her the baby was dead. And at night point, when she insisted on saying the corpse, she was raped 24 hours after delivery. Defiled. So when she called us, I told her, don't worry. God helping us will lay the case. So at the point of reporting at the police station, there was a lot of compromise. They delayed her and her social worker from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 at night. I couldn't sleep. And I said, talk to the DPO. And the next day, the DPO looked at the social worker. You are not wearing your face mask. That's why we will not document this case. And she innocently said, Oga, you two, you are not wearing your face mask. And she was booted out at 10 p.m. and was given the order not to come back here. But thank God for wisdom. I called the DPO. I said, Ananda, you said she should not come here. I will respect that. I'm assigning another caseworker. And that was the deal breaker. And we went to thank God for senior police officers who are compassionate. The case was transferred from that police station to the area command. And we escalated from state command to federal command because we had to mobilize her to go with the police officers to the east. And at the exchange of gunpoint, the baby was rescued at 10 months.
And with children, every holiday, a lot of the children that come to us come to report the high issues of virginity testing. Mothers are still inserting fingers into their daughters to know if they are pregnant. Yes, fathers also have joined it. Eggs are common items for insertion. And so the definition of rape is important. Penetration without consent. When the mother, is penetrating the daughter, she's raping her.
At the Mirabel Center, we have seen over 9,800 survivors. And of that figure, over 90, without any exaggeration, over 90% of that are minors that we have seen. But we find that even with these figures, there are still a large number of people who are not reporting yet. Our online contact and communication is very active, and we find young adults, I'm talking about people from 18 to about 22, 23. These people will not necessarily come out to tell you that they have been raped. They are either senior secondary school students, they are university students who have friends and who have probably, engaged with friends and something has happened and they are not even sure whether this is rape or not. So they are saying, this has happened. I don't know, maybe it was my fault because I went there. I don't know who to talk to. And individuals like that, they will not come to the center. They feel more comfortable with, engaging you online and you providing counseling for them. So this is, a sect of people that would not, fit into, because they feel that, what would they say if I tell somebody that I was raped? Maybe this person was my friend, that's someone I trusted. What happens when a young adolescent, a 12, 13-year-old, people begin to ask the question, why did she go there? What were you wearing? And then a perpetrator has the effrontery to tell you that she seduced me. And you are wondering, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, oh, it was the way she danced before me, it was the way she, when I sent her on an errand and she came back and she was seducing me. And then before these people even come to the center, the child has been beaten black and blue by parents who maybe do not know better or, do not know how to channel their anger. We have a story of a 15-year-old now. She was about 8 or 9 when she came to the Mirabel Center. And then again, they came back when she was 5 years after. And what is the issue? She has refused to eat. She has refused to talk to anybody in the house because what the parents did when she was about 8 years old was that they just closed the case and refused to do anything about the perpetrator. And she went on a, hunger strike against the parents. And they didn't have a choice but to come because she was holding them to ransom, that something had to be done to the perpetrator that had raped her, and the parents did nothing. A few factors that make, people not to act. Yes, there is the issue of the police, because the police will first of all ask you, do you have money to do case? Mm-hmm. Do you really want to do case? Intimidating, survivors, their parents and guardians, making them feel like, oh, if you want to do this, then you must be ready to spend money. However, that is not what it should be. And then parents are intimidated. Of course, the perpetrator that has money to throw around will throw money around and intimidate survivors and their parents. How about the community? You go and then the landlord tells you that, oh, you are going to face quit notice if you don't drop this case. And they tell you that, in this community, let's handle it amongst ourselves. Let's not take it out. Let's go to the barless place, and then we will settle the matter. A survivor it was, the judgment took about 3 to 4 years. On the day she got judgment, she came to the Mirabel Center with her bags. Because she said, I cannot go back to that community. Because they have told me that if I send their son to jail, I will not be welcome in that community anymore.
To what extent is the government supporting?
There can be more, but we can say that we have support. I mean, the Mirabel Center is located in a hospital, right, where we have that location, and we also have support from the Ministry of Justice as well, but it can be more, because there have been times where we have gone home with half salaries because we have to support survivors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Dorothy Njemanze. Please, a round of applause for all of our panelists, please. Thank you. For our audience, if you have any questions, now is the time. Any questions for our panelists, please?
Thank you so much for the work that you do. I know it's not easy. May God continue to bless you. I'm still going to talk on our panel. I probably mentioned this, but quickly, just before you forget, what is the contact info? What's your contact information in case people are because I know it's live online and people are going through this thing and they want to contact you. Can you please share your contact information, because I think it's very important for people to contact your services, please, if you can.
Good afternoon, everyone. My sisters, how are you? I'm smiling because all the ladies sitting there are people very familiar to me. The struggle is real, the challenges are real, and we keep going, because I tell people that mine is not a question, it's just to reaffirm. It's an affirmation of what I came in late, but of course I trust and I know everyone seated on that side of the room. And for a lot of us out here, a lot of things, all that glitters is not gold. So much is being heaped on NGOs. So much within very little resources that we have to. You know, people, once they just hear you're an NGO, they think it's free. Free. But LRS is after us, FRS is after us. Yes, we have to say these things. Do you understand? They believe it's free. Tonya here, my sister, what you said is very real. The threat is real, actually. In terms of having to deal with threats to your personal safety in trying to help others. And so, as Dorothy said, Lagos State stands out all the time. But yes, there's still a lot more Lagos State can do. And you can get money easily for conferences and workshops. Very easy. But victim support is so difficult to get. And it's expensive. Legal aid. There are lawyers here. Constantly, one has to keep looking, because a lot of the women who come, they don't have money for lawyers. So how many lawyers will actually say, okay, as we are going on, as we are trying to build up to become SANS in future or whatever, can you give pro bono? Offer yourself. Offer your services to give for a lot of these cases. Women and youngers. And when you hear a lot of women saying, I leave it to God, it's not a first option. I leave it to God is a cry that I am tired. It's actually, I am tired.
The major thing, there's a lot to unpack. There's so many layers. But one thing that I've, which is hands-on information that I've gotten, especially if we have mentioned the police, which is actually a very critical point, because, from what you're saying, there's been a lot of, not all of them are supportive. And I thought they have the gender response unit in the police station. So that unit is not even functioning. It's functioning. Because I'm trying to figure out, maybe there has to be some sort of retraining and really focus on the police, because like they say, even if you go to the medicals, if you don't report it, your case has not started.
Training comes from the top. The people who are opportune to get this training are mostly senior officers. And after the training, they are moved to other places. Then what happens next? Who is closest to the communities? Police outposts. When will anything meaningful actually get to the police outposts? We don't know. What is the cost of running a police station? What is the budget of a police station? The last time I knew about it, which was some years back, it He's still 50,000 naira for 3 months.
I grew up with my grandma. My dad was not always there, but in 2021, he came back that he wanted to carry me, and I was 13 years old then. Then he said that he wanted me to stay with him and his wife because he didn't marry my mom. So I refused, but my grandma said that I should just go at least so that I will school with my father. I will start my secondary school with my father. So I agreed with her, and I came and I started living with my dad, and 3 days after, that was when he started abusing me sexually, and he said that if I tell anybody, he's going to kill me. No, 2024, that was last year. That was when I opened up to my mom. I think it was June, 30th of June. And then she said that she's going to call for help, if not, it to continue. And she called my dad, immediate elder sister. She came to the house. That's how the whole thing started. Then they got him arrested.
Our next panel will literally be on the narrative itself as we're looking at this number. Now, a crucial part of gender-based violence is advocacy. And these panelists, the panelists on this stage are quite equipped for that discussion. Many of them have been part of the A Place at the Table program that is on News Central Television, and every single one of them have raised their voices when it comes to gender-based violence and advocacy. And so, to begin, please, put your hands together as I welcome onto the stage the founder and managing director of Temple Productions. Also, she's appeared on A Place at the Table, Miss Boyo. Thank you so much. Please. Also coming on stage as well is award-winning actress and Goodwill Ambassador, UNFPA, none other than Mrs. Stephanie Linus. Welcome onto the stage as she comes on stage. The next person on the panel will be the journalist. She's a journalist, a veteran journalist, as well as a media trainer, menstrual health advocate. And she's also one of the guests, or she's made appearances, numerous appearances, a familiar face on the show A Place at the Table. Please welcome our treasure, Ms. Funke Treasure. She comes on stage. Now, there's one person in this hall who is golden girl, but there's also another person who's a golden girl at the table as well, A Place at the Table. She's a media personality, but also a marketing and communications executive. And when you see her, there's no way you can see that she's not golden. Please put your hands together for Elsie Godwin. She comes on stage. Thank you. Last but not least, but also very important, a strategy, innovation, programs, and talent specialist. And when you see her, you know what I'm talking about. She's also had an appearance on A Place at the Table, a regular face as well. Please put your hands together for Ms. Zuma Yahaya. And to share this discussion is none other than the icon, Boyo. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We've had quite an enlightening start to the conversation, and so we're going to provide our own perspective of, the narratives around gender-based violence and sexual assault. And as we all know, we've heard the conversation, this is a pervasive issue. It continues to affect individuals, communities, societies worldwide. And in Nigeria, it is an emergency as far as I'm concerned. And we heard that. We need better narratives around gender-based violence and sexual assault. And that is one of the recurring themes in the conversation that we heard a few minutes ago. There are a lot of cultural norms, a lot of societal norms that seem to affect the way that these issues are treated. And we want to explore them, we want to talk about them, and we want to talk about the way that we as people in the media can perhaps work very intentionally about changing the narrative and ensuring that we educate and inform effectively around these issues. From consent, we heard a few things about, the lady from Mirabel mentioned a student in university and not understanding exactly what has happened to her. So there's a lot of information and a lot of education that still needs to be done. We need to educate our young people so they know what consent is, what has happened to them, and how important it is to report these things. And I think a lot of the narratives around sexual assault and gender violence can be linked, not all, but a lot of them can be linked to what people are consuming.
Well, of course, we're in this space. We understand the power of storytelling. We understand that we're the one creator. Why they call us creator is because we have the ability to create our world. And we can decide whether we want to make this world beautiful. We can decide whether we want to showcase the realities of things that are happening in a society, and also chart a new course, or stir up a new conversation, or give them a new insight or better ways to handle things. And I also understand that knowledge is power. A lot of people, if you understand, if you have knowledge, that means, first of all, you can make better decisions by yourself, first of all. And I know that a lot of people, when it comes to gender-based violence, awareness is still very low. People really don't understand what it is. And in Nigeria, we have a way of making things very ambiguous. Even if there's a government program happening, people don't understand there's a government program happening. It's just like when they talk about the VAP Act, the VAP Act there has to be an awareness campaign on that to break it down so that a normal man, ABC child crawling, will understand what the VAP Act is. So that alone is a campaign that needs to go on. And I feel that the more we create awareness and demystify these things, call it out for what it is, and also if they see that people who perpetrate this horrific things are being brought to justice, that will also deter people from being emboldened to do all those things. So awareness creation is key, and that's probably what also led me to doing my movie drive that I did. I was in the university, second year at the university. A friend of mine came from the university from Unijust to Calabar, and she was telling me about the things that she saw in the northern part of Nigeria, and that thought never left me, because it really stuck to me like, oh, wait, we're living in this country, but we're having totally different experiences.
I don't know what the world would be without CSOs. Because sitting down there, listening to those women in the first panel session talk about the great work they're doing, in the area of SGBV, I said to myself, what could be the version of the government and government agencies? We could see them talking about thousands of minors that they're working with. We can see them talking about survivors, about victims. And I just want to ask the audience to indulge us with a round of applause for these amazing women. Thank you. Just like you, Stephanie, I'm a storyteller. I work as a journalist, as a broadcaster, and the bulk of what I do is telling the stories of women in different ways. Hillary Clinton said at the Beijing conference a long time ago, she said, women's rights are human rights. And having said that, I want to zero in on a town hall meeting like this that was held around SGBV about 2-3 years ago around southwest Nigeria. And what did we do? It was at the instance of a CSO as well, Ward C. And I was the anchor of that. We went to different states in the southwest, Ekiti, Ondo, Oyo, and so on, engaging with Iyalodis and Iyalojas at the community level. These are high chiefs, female high chiefs at the community level, to engage them, to hear their stories. And we made a program out of it called Kigbajari. It was in Yoruba. so that we get the kernel of what the women had to say as women leaders. And I can just imagine if more radio stations and more TV stations did something like that. And I say this because there are different narratives out there. I will center my engagement on male narratives. And it's not monolithic. It is a spectrum from defensiveness to all kinds of things. But I will stick to the defensiveness of men. When they hear cases, and I'm not demonizing men, I have wonderful men in my life, and I know the men are coming for their session, so I can already see that they're gathering strength to puncture what I have to say. But this is the thing. When many men hear cases of SGBV, they feel defensive. Not all men. And so they shift the conversation from a systemic one to an individual one. So this is not about protecting an individual man or the ego of an individual man. It is about having this conversation, moving it forward, seeing that it is not about an attack on men. And I need our men to chew on that. I find it strange that no matter the case of SGBV in Nigeria, men rarely feel outraged. I wonder why. I think as a media person, we should do more stories about men's reactions because, like it or not, we live in a patriarchal society. And we cannot do it alone as women. We have to have the men in this ring with us to fight this. You ask for solutions as well. We can begin to create programs that will center on maybe podcasts even, that will bring in the men and, center on particular cases and feel their reactions. We need to begin to get even more reactions from men within the news bulletin.
Question for me. So speaking after these two women is a lot, right? Because they've said a lot already. I am proud to say that 3 of the women here right now sharing this conversation, I've been able to use my opportunities and my platform at the time to be able to give them room to push what they do. One is Madam Treasure here. The first time I met Dorothy then, I was full-time media at the time, and we had to push what she was doing. And I also did a one-on-one with Stephanie for pushing her show, right? So for me, it's always been about that narrative, being able to use the platform you have. And I think this is the point I'm going to say, let's all clap for News Central, really, because this is not something you see a lot of our regular media stations putting their power behind, because like a lot of people have said already, it's almost like a thankless job. You're not getting the funding you require. You're not getting the sponsorship you require. Even products that you expect that are female-led. Their communications people or their brand people are still not seeing projects like this as something that they should throw their weights behind. So big shout out to News Central for doing this and for every other impact they drive. And also to the MD, Mr. Karida Akintemi, because even when I had the opportunity to do this work with these women I've mentioned, he was also at the helm of affairs pushing it, right? So I would say all that to say also that the narrative is so important, and that was why I did a bit of advocacy. I think this was 10 years ago. The first online publication, if you go now and search hashtag say no to rape, that was done on my blog 10 years ago to push against rape in Nigeria. And that was the major thing you would see at the time. And we did that in the space of, I think, 10 days back to back on the blog to educate people. Social media wasn't as big as it was now. It was more of a lot of Facebook and Twitter and then the conversations on blogs. And we did that. It's sad to see that we're almost still where we are at the time, right? This 10 years gone, and we're still having this conversation. But I would like to say that social engineering is very important. And this is not a drive that can be done by the NGOs alone. The government have to really sit down. And social engineering is not something that happens in 2 years or 3 years. It's a very long-term drive. And it starts from the next generation because people are also scared to come out. The system hasn't given them enough support or confidence to say, I can come out to report this. So there's a lot more people that are not reporting compared to the numbers that we already have. that is scary. We have a lot of religious intolerance. We have a lot of choice intolerance. Because if my choice is XYZ, why does it affect you so much to the point that you think that you need to harm me? A lot of the things, like I was saying earlier before we came on, that we think we know about the Western world today is from the movies.
Recently, a picture went viral of an artist in which she was, AI was used to undress her.
Mm.
And I read about it. I didn't see it. But what occurred to me in all of this is when people think about gender-based violence, they don't think about the emotional part of gender-based violence. It's always the physical part. And the emotional gender-based violence erodes self-worth, induces anxiety, depression, and suicide ideation as much as the physical part. So it's important for us to acknowledge the people who are being doxxed online on a daily basis, the people who are being harassed, the people whose nudes are being shared without their consent. They are getting digitally raped on a daily basis. And it leaves a lifelong digital scar that nothing is going to take you away. The moment you're on the internet, you are there forever. Getting onto narratives. Stories do what laws and lectures often cannot do. It is very important for us to tell the right stories. As a survivor, it is important for you to tell your story, to let other people know that it is possible for them to survive what you've gone through, and also inspire them to take action. As an audience, it is important for you to amplify such stories when the survivors share their stories. Because when the story goes viral, it tells the world that this is not normal. You know, this is something that needs to be acted upon. As a former perpetrator, it's important for you to also share your growth stories. Because when people see that you can move past certain things, it inspires them to do more and take action for themselves. And lastly, as a media practitioner, we have to tell the right story. Every movie, every music video, the things we discuss on our radio channels, the things we like on our phones. Because at the end of the day, in the current age, we are all media practitioners. The things we retweet, we repost, we should always ask ourselves those questions. Are we amplifying the right things? Are we abusing someone? You see an inappropriate picture of someone, and you're retweeting it for likes. You are resharing it on your WhatsApp group. In that particular moment, you are committing gender-based violence on that person. And it is also classified as sexual assault. Thank you.
The media has a great deal of power. A lot of the power we have, we do not realize. Media has been utilized all over the world to change, you know, any narrative. It's been used to, if you are trying to get your whole, as you said, you use the word social engineering. It is so crucial. It's something that comes into play when a government working with institutions decide that this is, for whatever reason, be it economic or whatever reason, decide that this is the way they want their society to operate. We are creators. We can either create a world that is incredibly destructive, or we can create a world where there are possibilities for change.
That's, you know, this film, I screened it in Gambia with the vice president of Gambia. A month later, they banned child marriage in Gambia. So it's been quite impactful. So, but as creative, it's our responsibility to start thinking of the world that we want to create. Because maybe creating it and making money and having fun, not knowing that somehow that your skit is your daughter who is coming behind is the person that is going to benefit from that rape or that gender stereotype that you're carrying on. But the issue of gender-based violence, you know, you said something about men not reacting. I think maybe the approach in how we drive this campaign has to be, you know, we need to rethink it and also amplify both genders so that they can equally feel the pain. Because maybe when they feel the pain of that their precious son that is being abused, maybe something will mentally shift in the brains of a lot of men to see, oh, maybe we cannot, you know, allow this to happen.
Definitely getting men on as allies and men. But the thing is, because of the culture, a lot of them do not want to disclose. They keep it to themselves. Just as women not a lot of women, as you mentioned, come forward. A greater number, and I'm sure you can back me up with that, a greater number of boys and men do not come forward.
That storytelling bridges the gap.
Yes.
Storytelling is powerful because it messes with your brain. And I use the word messes with your brain.
But in a good way.
In a good way. Because you're watching somebody tell a story and you're empathizing along. You're seeing yourself, some in the closet, something that has happened to you a long time ago. And it's a very powerful way to, as I said earlier, break down barriers.
I get there. I actually want, because it's heavy on my mind, to speak to what she talked about in terms of amplifying the stories of boys that are abused, and also when she said former perpetrators, right? Former perpetrators. And it reminded me of the conversation again that happened on Tuesday on X Spaces, when one of the speakers spoke about how they had 146, I think, former predators or perpetrators, and they were doing a report. So they needed to understand what went through their mind or was going through their minds when this happened. And she said, I think about 80% of them said they had been abused.
Yes, there are actually statistics to back that.
So I think that is a very strong reason for us to amplify their stories and also fight for them. Because this abuse, they say hurt people, right? These abuses have been the root cause of what has made them who they became, and then maybe the monster we see them as today. Yeah. So, and some of them who abuse them, they're also abused by females, some females, right? Yes, we have cases of men abusing them now, but females. So please, it was just heavy on my heart to reiterate it, that the root cause is very important. And a lot of them have been abused, and that is why they see it as normal.
For me, gender-based violence is not gender-specific. And we cannot overemphasize the importance of storytelling. For a lot of men, their first sexual encounter is as a result of abuse. But it has gotten so normalized and so trivialized that they themselves, they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So this is why it is important for us to tell the right stories, because what story does for us is it shows us why it matters. We hardly see content around male gender abuse. Yeah. And it is quite prevalent, more than a lot of people realize. So going on to what government can do to provide support to victims of abuse or to reduce the incidence of abuse, I would say I tell people that most of the social vices we complain about now is as a result of the kind of media we normalized. When we look at the things that are currently happening now, those are the things we see in our music videos a couple of years back, in our movies, in all of that. So the first thing government needs to do to improve the outcome, the future outcome of our society, is to regulate. Yes. We are not saying regulate creative expression, but it is important for us to regulate output. Yes. There has to be a minimum standard. Yes. You need to let the creators know that it is not enough just to create for entertainment value. You have to create for moral value responsibly. Yes. And beyond that, we also need to provide support to the victims. CSOs cannot do it alone. We need government support centers and also reintegrate and provide mental support to perpetrators, because most of the time the perpetrators themselves, they need support.
First of all, what is the emergency number for Nigeria? We know we have 112, Abi. You see why I asked the NGOs to list their numbers? Because it's very confusing. I know Lagos State, for instance, they're doing fantastic work for sure. I've worked with them, even the school campaign we did, Rice Secondary School with my NGO and all of that. But there has always been a challenge, even at the UN levels. I've been talking to people like, how come we don't know the emergency number of Nigeria?
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. So I was reading a book by Chimamanda Adichie, Dreams, and there was something that stuck out to me. Dreams count. Thank you very much. So there was something that stuck out to me, was the fact that somebody asked, where do we learn about sex? It's on movies. We watch it when we consume, if you just open your social media accounts, the first thing that pops to you is sexual content. And I'm wondering, if this is what is sold as how sex is supposed to be, that means everybody, right from when you start watching anything at any age, you're learning that sex is supposed to be violent. Because that is why you now start perpetrating it in such a way. Because so now sex sells. So yes, sex sells, but then how do you control it? Because people are doing this because they get money from it. Yeah. So how do you stop them? How do you stop these contents from getting to people, younger generations, older, everyone, and everybody's consuming that this is how sex is supposed to be?
The first one I want to say is about the moral decadence in our society. Of course, this is how we got here. It's not about how to clamp it down. We can always go to the root and see how did we get here. So I think if parents can do more, and of course collectively put some communal effort in, probably when we see something, we say something.
So if all of us are being intentional in talking about sexual education to our kids, I talk to my son about sex. I'm like, this part they don't touch, that part they don't touch. Even my boys, I talk to them. If anybody touches you here, it's a conversation. You should not shy away from doing that.
I would say, finally, my final words, that consent, people need to understand consent. It should be taught, it should be, created into content. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. We're gonna
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put our hands together for the distinguished moderator of that session and all our distinguished panelists.
Supporting a survivor for gender-based violence is probably listening to them, helping them, navigate the challenges that they are going through gender-based violence. And I think one thing that we can do more in our communities, enabling people to speak out more if they are going through these situations in their families or in their homes. Let them speak out more and not be afraid to speak. I think for me, that's my opinion.
The first thing is our community should not blame them. They are the victim. They should not be the one taking the fault. For whatever reason why the gender-based thing happened, it should not be their fault. And one thing that I believe that we should do is, I'm saying this from experience, and this is one thing that I did not get. I did not get that support. And I feel like the support is even much, when someone doesn't get that support, it is much more traumatizing than the event itself.